This is the story of a Khajiit maiden's journey to become a better person, or cat person, or person cat, whatever. She is one of the most unlikely heroes to ever grace all of Tamriel. Our journey starts in a land called Cyrodiil. Today is the beginning of the new you. 1 month ago you made yourself a promise. You were going to turn your life around. You were going to get a real job, stay out of jail, and not get any more trouble with cults. Nobody thought you could do it. They said your questionable reputation, lack of useful skills, and flagrant alcoholism would always hold you down. But you had a plan. You were going to start over, start from home. You pawned off your belongings, withdrew from the rest of your inheritance, and narrowly managed to buy your way onto a merchant ship bound for Cyrodiil. And now you have arrived, alone and penniless, in a foreign country. Rounding up to the nearest week, you've been sober for an entire 7 days. This is your chance to be whatever you want to be, whoever you want to be. You'll think you'll start with a new name, something less ethnic, maybe suitably imperial, to fit your new home. The codfish wrote, Tudor. No, there's something far too royal about that name. Something that strikes fear in your soul. You've never understood why kings scare you. Maybe it's those crowns, jagged rims glistening like a dozen metal teeth burst forth from their skull. A vestigial maw seeking to devour any so fortunate to find themselves upon it. Maybe it's their clothes. An ocean of sparkling purple silk dragged behind them like a vicious tendrils of an unholy carnivorous plant. Maybe it's their very expression, the way it oozes that solemn, dutiful dedication to their country. Scare might be a too weak word. Dukes terrify you, as do princesses, princes, counts, and barons. But kings, queens, emperors, you don't know what you'd do if you ever found yourself face to face with one. Probably curl up and cry. You used to have a recurring nightmare where you were trapped in a small dark room with a king. There's no way out, no one to help you, and he just stands there, being a king. Luckily, you've mostly taken care of your nightmare problem through heavy self-medication. Though you guess the self-medication became a bigger problem. Plagueroth wrote, Katia Managan. This name sounds pretty cool though. You like the way it rolls off your sandpapery tongue. You jot it down and hand the immigration form to the guard. The guard says you can keep it if you want. They don't actually keep track of immigration, and he just brought the form because you asked, and he's just gonna throw it out anyway. You tell him you don't care. This has symbolic value to you. It makes your new life official. He obliges and accepts the document. Not many people out here. Everyone must be inside. Looks like there's some shops near the dock. One appears to be a general store. The other kind, some sort of restaurant. The codfish wrote, Check your skills. Your trade skills. Just what can you do anyway? Your trade skills? You always get a little uncomfortable when the T word pops up in your head. Suffice to say, your childhood was not full of encouragement, your adolescence was not full of employment, and your adulthood has not been full of success. Each one sort of led to the next, which is to say, nowhere. It's one of those things you're hoping to fix with your new life someday. You'll be good at something, or even just adequate at it. It would make you happy. But for the time being, you're pretty much worthless. I mean, you know a pretty interesting party trick involving a yo-yo and a pineapple, but it's not appropriate for most parties. Crazy 8 wrote, Visit the store for pots and shitty wands. You think it's supposed to be a bag of swords, but you're not sure. It's pretty much the worst sign you've ever seen. You can barely read it. If you need some quick cash later, maybe you can offer to redesign it. WLZ Robert wrote, Find a job as a maid in the restaurant? Droke wrote, To the restaurant! Though you can't buy any food, maybe you can chat with the locals and get some free food if you're lucky. Right now, however, your best bet for steady employment seems to be the restaurant. And hey, you're in Cyrodiil now. May as well get to know the locals. You head in. This place is pretty nice, you guess. Sort of homey. The proprietor is some kind of elf. There's like a billion kinds of elves. You can never keep them straight. He welcomes you to the Flowing Bowl and asks you if you would like to see a menu. Frosted Warlock wrote, "Accept a menu and ask for any jobs you can do." This is definitely a menu meant for sailors. I guess that's what you have to expect at a port town. It's all out of your price range too. That is to say, nothing is for free. But you're not going to let that bring your spirits down. You compliment the elf on his fine seaside establishment and alluring menu, then clumsily segue into how you are broke and looking for a job. Maybe he needs a maid to clean up at the end of the day, or a waitress to serve tables. Or someone to do both for the wage of one? Him and his brother manage to handle all the chores around here, he explains. There is not really any need for a third employee, no matter how many jobs she was willing to take up, and how little wage she was willing to accept. Between the two of them, there is more than enough manpower to keep the food cooked, sailors fed, and the table spotless. You have the sneaking suspicion they aren't actually brothers. You've been in Cyrodiil for 15 minutes, and your ambitious dreams of starting anew are already feeling a bit shakier. You confess that you didn't plan ahead very well and are in dire need of employment. Is there anyone in town who might need some menial labor? You're willing to learn new skills. You're scared and alone and just need a place to sleep and a way to put food on the table. The gay elves explain that many trading ships come through this port. If you have any valuable possessions, you may be able to sell them at a good price. If you don't have any valuable possessions, well, maybe someone else will need a maid or something. You could just ask around. Your only possessions in the world right now are the clothes on your back, and this lockpick you found on the floor of the ship. You have no idea how to use a lockpick.